What's going on, everybody? It is time for a 7-minute late edition of Truth Will Set You Free. I hope everybody is having a fantastic week. We've got the cast of characters. Suni is only able to make it for a little bit because she is partially on vacation. She'll be, I don't know if she's leaving soon, going soon, whatever she's doing. She might have to head out of here. So we're going to make this quick. We're going to cover some of her topics early, things we're going to talk about on the show. The Trucker Convoy from Canada. Regeneron is no longer EUA. Joe Rogan is under attack after we thought he was untouchable a couple weeks ago. Trump's rally and Charlemagne talking about Trump and Joe Biden, current administration. He talked more about Democrats. We'll talk all about that. We're going to be doing that with Suni at the beginning of the show. We're talking about Trump's reemergence. Is this a just a ploy for Cult 45, or is this actual having wide-based appeal? Lastly, talking about the border, and we've got a video of the feds. If Suni can stay for that. If not, we'll just talk about Trump to start. Anyways, guys, we're about to have Snowmageddon out here in Dallas. Casey, what's up? What are you pointing at me for? You good?
Yeah, you're good.
Mo, did you go to the store today to go shopping?
People are fucking crazy. I just was standing in line and I was just like, if shit were to really hit the fan, like people would not be able to handle it. One day of like below 20 temperatures and people have lost their minds.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I think we're shell-shocked. You and I are both local to Dallas. We're shell-shocked from last year's Freeze-Mageddon, which was like 2 weeks long. And people, even my mother, is like freaking out. It's about, and it's guys, it's, well, let's be honest. It could be a lot worse. Last year was 2 weeks long. We're going to get one really bad day. So guys, do me a favor before we hit the countdown to get started. We are about almost at 60 viewers, which is incredibly low. Do me a favor. Go ahead and share this out there. We got some good topics. We want to get started as soon as possible. So I'm going to give you guys about a minute to get the party started. Texas was down for a week last year. Go ahead and start making comments in the comment box, because we're also going to tell you that some things are changing here at Be the Change, this show, etc., which we're going to tease a little bit and go from there. As Mo said on the bottom, aka Let's Talk Darling, share, and more share. By the way, Suni, I'm supposed to, as long as Snowmageddon isn't that bad and I don't have to leave too early, I'm supposed to have a conversation with Dalton tomorrow, live on his 87 streaming platforms, which I don't know what these kids use. He's like, we stream from Discord. I'm like, you stream from Discord? Isn't that a conversation platform? I don't know. These kids,
but you can stream on there too. It's amazing.
I did not know that. These kids,
you're old. It's all right.
These rabble rousers, I'll tell you.
Right.
So hopefully we'll be able to get that conversation. Real quick housekeeping, comechangeyourlife.com. I'll be speaking, and I know somebody actually reached out and they actually want to code to it. So comechangeyourlife.com in Kansas City. I'll be speaking there on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, but it is a 3-day event. You could also get it online. So if you go to comechangeyourlife.com, you could buy tickets there where you get food, meals, get to meet everybody. Patch Adams is speaking at the event, the real Patch Adams, not Robin Williams, because as we know, whatever, rest in peace. So there is that. And you can also see it digitally as well. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get the party started. We're at 75 viewers. Keep sharing. Go ahead and do another favor and go ahead and do hashtag Truth Will Set You Free. That'll be the one I'm going to ask for you for. Hashtag Truth Will Set You Free. Let's start the show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's episode number 85 of Truth Will Set You Free. We're talking Trucker Convoy. We're talking Regeneron, Joe Rogan, Trump's rally, and also him saying he's the 45th and 47th president. Charlemagne the God saying, bring back Trump. We've got some border. We've got some feds. We might even talk about some gay penguins. I don't know. And I'm going to slip this in there real quick. This is what you're going to be seeing next week. Easy's laughing at the gay penguins. There's literally 2 gay penguins that are now raising. real. I don't even fucking know. Whatever.
Oh God.
So as you can see, this is going to be a slightly new graphic. This is what you are going to see from this point forward. This is the announcement we are going to make. So you guys probably will see this in the middle of the night or tomorrow. But Be the Change, as we have it, we've noticed has become a predominantly political network. That doesn't necessarily speak to what Be the Change means. We believe that's a part of it, but ultimately we realize what we talk about is truth and the ability for truth to set you free. That does not mean Be the Change is changing, but you will probably see that the Be the Change page will be Truth Will Set You Free Media from this point forward. Be the Change will be its own page. It might combine with Streetlights Unity Movement page, where it is all positivity, unity messaging, and that is going to be the goal. We want to keep it obvious and separate, positivity, and not that politics can't be positive and then the conversations around them, but we do believe that since we have geared so much of our messaging towards information, politics, and truth, that the brand should fit. Our clothing will be Awake Not Woke, like I'm wearing the Follow the Money shirt. We've got Unveiled Lives Matter. You can find that on awakenotwokestore.com. We've got some new stuff coming out that we will show. There you go. Easy's wearing the hat, the Awake hat. I've got that on as well. Casey's going to show some new shirts that we've got that will probably be kind of fun and in support of what's going on in Canada as well. That's the gist of the startup of the show. I know Suni's got to go pretty soon, so let's get right to it. Just don't be alarmed when you see that this page might be called Truth Will Set You Free in the next couple days. All right, guys. Suni, I'm going to let you lead off. You want to do? Let's talk Trump. Go for it.
Let's talk Trump. So do you want Charlemagne's Trump or do you want Trump? We can go either way.
Well, what direction do you want to start? Because are you?
We can talk about Charlemagne because I think it's extraordinary how we told these people, hey, they're lying. They're not going to do what they say when they get in office, and they're like, no, you're just lying because you're a racist, black, white supremacist, and now you have them saying the same things that we said, which I think is hilarious. He doesn't get a pass because you called me a coon. F you, Charlemagne.
Trump, get this motherfucker out of here.
Hold on, we need to make sure we get all that.
Man, where's Trump? Get this motherfucker out of here. Motherfuckers, they feel like they would rather get it raw. Like, you know what? At least we know where that motherfucker's feels. These motherfuckers is gassing us up, lying to us, promising us shit and didn't deliver. Like, I cannot wait to see, and I'm already watching it. I'm watching Democrats start the campaign. They're already like, Hillary, you gotta go out there and vote. Like, democracy depends on it. I'm like, when y'all gonna start governing like democracy depends on it? No, for real. Man, where's Trump? Man, where's Trump?
That was a good. Where they should turn that. Bryson should use that in something. Man, where is Trump? Man, where is Trump?
Well, first of all, it's not a democracy. I just want to correct him on that. It's not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. And second, I feel vindicated because I sat back and I'm like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. It's just going to be an I told you so moment. You guys can learn from the asinine reasons for voting the way they did. And now I hope they learn. I hope the Breakfast Club actually becomes more politically aware, like Malcolm X said we should be, and actually vote based on policy and stop regurgitating media nonsense. I'm glad that they're suffering. I got to be honest. I'm kind of glad that they're like, man, you didn't do nothing you promised.
You got to learn. And I mean, there is just nothing good coming out of this presidency. And also, sorry, I keep forgetting to say this. How many people are watching on the backup page? Because once we get to the Regeneron stuff, we're going to have to switch over to the backup page. So I'll go ahead and put the backup page in there. But keep going, Suni, because it also goes into. So my question for you at this point, you see Charlemagne, you feel vindicated. And I agree. I get like it's one of those ones like it didn't even take a year for them to see this shit. Like it didn't even take a year. But we have some opinions on Trump lately. So where are we currently standing? And I know that you also talk a little bit about his rally where to me there was some changes made in his tone, which is good. But again, we can't just jump back on the train when we got kicked off. So go ahead.
Look, Trump is going to forever have that spot in American history where he came and fixed a lot of wrong in the country. He actually exposed a lot. And, he did what he's supposed to do as a president. I don't like when people say we need to be grateful for Trump. And it's like, no, we don't. You got in there. You did your job. But it's what he's done after his presidency that has really gotten me just on, not even on the fence. I'm off the Trump train because he's not moving the way he would usually move. He's not the 2016 Trump, and his rallies are just what are they doing besides? I'm going to make you feel good for an hour and you're going to go back to life and probably not do anything else outside of this. That's there. It's a false sense of it's what it is. It's hopium. It's a false sense of
hopium. I like that. Mo, what did you watch? How much of the last rally did you watch? Because I'm in agreement with Suni to a point, but I do think his tone is changing. But go ahead.
Yeah, I watched about 3/4 of it, I think. I almost got all the way through it, but it was just the same stuff regurgitated over and over and over again. And here's the thing about it. Yes, Trump did great things for us when he was in office, but we as a people were in a totally different place. We were not aware of a lot of things that were going on. He opened our eyes to all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And now we know so much that we're even looking at him like this, right? So he did at least that for us, but now he has to understand we as a people are in a different place. We are expecting more. We are more, hopefully more cautious, right? Of who we're voting for and who we're believing. And we're learning how to look up FEC reports, right? We're learning how to do our due diligence into stories and not just read headlines and just go with that. So he has to realize that.
I'm sorry, Mo, you're not allowed to think for yourself. I don't know if you've been told this yet by a Democrat today, but you are not allowed to do your own research. You must trust everything the government says.
I was on Instagram with A-Rod today. One of the Legit founders, he was like, Suni, you realize that we're always going to be somewhat of a mental slave? And I'm like, nah, why you say that? He's like, white people are free to believe whatever the freak they want. You don't owe anybody an explanation for why you voted left or right. But when you're black and brown, you get kicked out of the club if you vote a Republican. Hell, Democrat for that matter. At some point, you're trading on your people, which is crazy. It just made me think of that when you were like, hey, you're not allowed to think for yourself. Well, technically, we're legit not. We're supposed to just be, I'm going to go wherever you want me to go, which is why I've always felt like the token Negro. Swear to Bob, man. Doesn't matter where you go on the Republican side. I'm the token Negro.
That's actually your name in my contacts on my phone.
Mo, go ahead and finish your thought. I cut you off earlier. I know you were continuing to talk about it.
No.
Sorry.
No, actually, I just saw in here, somebody put a comment. So who's going to show up in the 2024? Here's the thing, guys. We're not saying Trump can't show up. We're not saying we're not going to listen to him. But we have to never stop questioning these people. It just doesn't end. We can't just be like, we love this guy. We're going to sit down, let him run the show. We're going to trust everything that he's doing. We have to get out of that mentality. And that's a good thing, actually. That's a good thing that more people are starting to question even Trump's most loyal supporters. And I am still a supporter of Trump. But I am going harder on him and questioning everything he does. And I think that these rallies have been lackluster. It's the same stuff. He's rubbing everybody's back, talking about all the things that he did. We know everything you did. I want to know what you're going to do to fix the shit show that that we're left with now. That's what I want to know.
Easy, go ahead.
Well, so to tack onto that is, I think one of the things that you saw him do in 2015, 2016 as he was gearing up to become a candidate is he kept everything. I mean, I think you guys can probably remember he would flat out refuse to answer questions when it came to foreign policy, when it came to specific things he would or would not do for diplomacy. And some of the things that, I'm hearing kind of harken back to that a little bit. Now, to say that he's gone too far, I agree with all of that. I'm on board with everything what you guys have said, but I'm wondering if he's reshifting and putting his ear back to the ground and saying what do the people really want, and I think that if we can get the Trump of 2016 to show up in 2024, then it's not as hard of a stretch for me to imagine saying, well, you know what, he is a strong candidate, he is to a long degree the leader of the party. And I think it's very interesting because if you do listen, he is starting to kind of hit that stride where it's like, whoa, like, I said this stuff a few weeks ago and he's completely cut it out of his word diet, right?
So that's my question for everybody based on that. So obviously, and nobody in this group goes harder against the V and the mandates. Like this has been the bane of my existence and what I speak about in the medical world. And the biggest thing when he lost me, and I know that was about when Sunni started really turning tides, and a lot of us did, is when he started talking about how great. Continue talking about how great the V was, and essentially sounded like he was working for Big Pharma. Now he is talking anti-mandate. He's talking pro-truckers convoy. I also do think it's interesting that he is starting to speak about 2022, which he has no bearing on. I do think he's starting to insert that as messaging. He gave kind of the axe to Dan Crenshaw, which we all know has become just a shit show for the Republican Party. And he was a very popular candidate, and Trump just in his own state said right outside of Houston, just gave him the boot. So is he doing this right now because he is the Trump of 2016, or did he realize that talking about pro-V was hurting his polling numbers? Why is he making this shift like this? Which one is it? Do you think it's genuine, or do you think it's for the vote?
For the vote.
I think it's for the vote. He's pandering.
I think he's a full-fledged politician now, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
absolutely. I have the 26-second clip where he's pandering.
Not all politicians are created equal, though, to be clear. Like there is some, like, yes, he's being a politician. At the same time, his lack of politician side is kind of what potentially, quote unquote, lost him the election in 2020. So is there an importance to actually play the card a little bit? Now, and go ahead and play the clip, Sunni, was his talking about the V in the way that he did about how great it was? Because again, I thought that was a political ploy. So was that pandering as well? Was that pandering to those that were like, the V saved my life? And he's like, maybe there's more of those. More people have taken it, so it would make mathematical sense.
I don't know. Yeah. To me, that doesn't make mathematical sense. To me, that's playing to the left, because he can say, it's kind of like good cop, bad cop, right? Hey, I'm for your freedoms. I'm anti-mandate. But then he says, hey, go get this jab because it's amazing. And the left is like, yo, Trump said this. He said it was good, and you guys don't want to get it. Why are you fighting against it? Why are you being rebels? And then you got Trump over here, but I'm for your freedoms. Like, bro, pick a struggle, my guy. Pick a struggle.
I think the talk about the V was merely just to stroke his own ego, right? Because that's what I think it was all about. I think he was like, it went over his head. And he was just like, I need to give myself props, because if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't be here. Well, like I think he's that out of touch sometimes with reality, and he's so kind of full of himself.
I can agree with you on that. Real quick, easy. I think one of the big things, hold your thought, the big things was the fact that the V approval, EUA approval came out 3 days after the election was so big, because I think he was using that as a tool, and then I think how big of a deal that was to come out after hurt him in the election, and the way that he is using it was his way of like, well, I missed the opportunity then. How long should I ride this bandwagon?
And I think that there's an important question that can be posed in this, which is a ton of his followers, people who voted for him that are more, particularly the older group, they went and got this immediately. They were on the train, right? So I'll add that in and saying, maybe it is a pander. Maybe it's I want credit for this because then people will remember me in conjunction with this. But I do think that to some degree, some of the things he was unable to do while he was in during his term may have been because he had no idea how to be a politician. So if he's learned that game and that strategy, there's something to be said if he can take that back and apply it in a way that's beneficial for we the people. But I'm 50-50 on this.
I'm in agreement. So he had COVID, supposedly took a VPAC and Regeneron. Why isn't he promoting that instead of an ineffective prick? I did not know that he was promoting Joe Biden. I did not know that.
No.
Oh, the jab. I didn't know. I thought Joe Biden was an ineffective prick. My bad. Oh, I missed that. Oh, Mariana said follow the money, which is ironically also the shirt that I'm wearing
money.
Right, you can get on awakennetworkstore.com.
$2.5 million contributions that he got at his inauguration. I don't think people should ignore that.
What are you talking about? Yeah, Trump's 2.5 million. I mean, 8 million to Biden, but 2.5 to Trump. And we're going to talk a little bit about Regeneron later, which is no longer EUA. So I think we've cleared the Trump. We've only got you for a couple more minutes.
Let's play this real quick because this is actually really
Sorry,
important.
my bad. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
If these radical, vicious, racist prosecutors do anything wrong or illegal, I hope we are going to have in this country the biggest protest we have ever had in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Atlanta, and elsewhere, because our country and our elections are corrupt. They're corrupt.
Corrupt. Listen to me, okay? Trump is a freaking thorn in my side, okay? You are campaigning for 2024. You are literally endorsing candidates for 2022. Then you opened your mouth to call prosecutors racist. How the fuck do you know that is beyond me? Then you tell people if they don't get it right, we're going to have another January 6th. Is literally what he just said here. We should have the biggest protest ever. And then you open your mouth to say elections are not free anymore. Come on.
But is he wrong?
On.
But is he wrong?
That's not the point. You
I
cannot.
know. I get it.
No.
But that thought process is what Mo was talking about. That is Trump of 2016 that does not give two shits. And I don't disagree. I just heard Alan West speak this last week, and they talked about the elections and how the importance is really with the local municipalities. There's a video, Dinesh D'Souza, I know he's a little crazy right wing. He has a documentary that's coming out where he tracked all of these ballot harvesters. So I get Trump's frustration, why he brings it back. I think that there is a reason to talk about it for 2022 because it's saying, if you want to win, we have to not just show up, but we have to show the fuck up. I think that there is something to that message.
But there's not, because he told everybody to show the fuck up on January 6th, and they did, and he fucking peaced out.
Exactly.
And now he's talking,
clip.
Right. And now he's talking about, well, if I get nominated, if I'm going to pardon everybody.
Pardon them. We're going to do it the right way, as if you didn't have how many weeks to do it the right way while you were there. This is Trump pandering, okay? And this is when American voters need to stand up and say, what are you going to do? Are you going to be this person that you say you're going to be? Or are you going to get in office and do something else? This is what needs to happen. There's a reason he's not talking about the jab anymore. You know why? Because Americans were like, nobody, you don't shut me up and say, oh, it's just a small group. That's not how it goes down over here. They work for us. Sorry. And what you just said was a freaking oxymoron. Oxymoron. Make this make sense. Either it's not fair and you're going to do something to fix it, or just go tell people to vote and quit talking about all this extra stuff, because this is once again fanning the flames. It's going to create another January 6th, and people are ultimately going to be pissed off and let down.
But is that bad? Is it bad to have? Because I think we're painting this picture on January 6th. We are seeing another January 6th in Canada right now, but they've learned from the lessons of January 6th. Like,
we're talking about Americans, though.
But that came from the people, though. That didn't come from their leaders saying, hey, everybody show up and protest this. The people decided we're going to go do this, right? Versus their leaders saying.
Well, then I don't know if it said it in the Charlemagne video, but one of the things that Charlemagne gets on in his rant, and I don't know if it showed it in that 1 minute clip, is he specifically goes off about midterms. And he is very, 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 very adamant that he wants to see change at midterms. And I think that that's a good indicator that the political shift is so large that I just, one of the things that I'll go back to is this Trump 2016, where he is putting his ear to the ground and going to fulfill what the people want, or is this post-election Trump where he's going to peddle bullcrap in order to try and keep people engaged and interested? There is a lot of if it's consistent over the course of the next year and a half, well, then I think there's something to it. If there's this constant shift to back and forth, it's It's clear.
I just want to know, where does race play in any of this?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't get.
I want to know.
I mean,
he did prosecutors.
Remember, he
doesn't
script his. Remember, he doesn't script his stuff. So that could, I mean, that might have been a flub. Like I get that. It didn't make sense. Maybe I don't know. Who knows? That point, it doesn't make sense to me why he said it. So an interesting thing, and I want to try to. And again, it could be pandering. Could be pandering for those that are like, everybody's against us when we're, we talk racism, and it's all reverse racism. So really quick on Allen West, and then I want to make sure we get into the other, border stuff real quick to have you, Suni. So Allen West was really cool. We are actually going to have Chad Prather on the show, running for Texas governor, as well as Allen West. I talked to his field director, so we'll have both of those guys on, just a separate show on the Truth Will Set You Free network. And it was very interesting to see the two differences of them talk. And I asked a very specific question, because I think this is a question a lot of you guys have, including the people even on the screen. It's like, there's a lot of governors like DeSantis and Abbott that have ended the mandates by executive order. Why are jobs still firing people? Why is it that it's being superseded? Why does it seem like that end to the OSHA mandate didn't mean jack shit? So he explained it, and I'm like, how will you fix that? How can we actually control that and bring the freedom back to the people? And he goes, well, everybody just sees these shiny executive orders, the same that Joe Biden does, the same that Governor Abbott does. It means zero unless there is action in the state Congress. So they actually have to take it and turn it into a law by getting it voted into a law. So all these if people are wondering, and I was wondering the same, I'm like, there's all these mandates saying that these businesses can't do this. How are they still doing it? Well, because there's no law against it. So until there is a law, then it is still but it is open for prosecution if there is illegal firings and different stuff. But it was an interesting point. Lastly, Allen West was awesome, and I do think he's going to give a run for his money to Governor Abbott. The key right now that I learned from this is he talked a lot about how the left is doing it wrong across the country and how we have to protect the state. When I heard Chad Prather talk, he talked about why Abbott is doing it wrong. And they're also speaking at similar events in certain places. So I think they're making sure there's going to be a runoff. It's a really interesting tactic, and it's pretty much a anything but Abbott crew. And it's really fun to watch, and we'll see if it pays off. Anyways, Suni, if we've got you for a minute or two, go ahead and slap up that video of the border. The southern border is a fucking mess. Sorry, Nancy, but the fact that if this was any other president, any other media, this would be the number one story every day after day after day after day. There are people that we know, Kelly and I know, at the southern border that have houses an hour away from the border that are continuously having people every day coming through their property, breaking their fences, getting arrested by border agents, and like having this happen never was like this before. And we've stopped talking about it. This is even a bigger issue. As I've told people, I got to the Detroit airport and I saw a commercial plane drop off a bunch of people into a bus. And I'm like, what is happening? Turns out very not normal. Most likely from the border, being flown to a different state and just being dropped off in the United States of America. How is this happening? Go ahead, play the video.
Shout out to Oscar, by the way. Oscar's a homie. Oscar El Blue. He covers all this shit.
Is this Oscar's video?
I can't tell you who I got it from, but I got it from somebody.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, a lot of this is just...
No, I get it. I just, like I said...
stuff that we don't tell people. Because what we don't want to do is attract attention. We don't want the media.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even know where we're going when they tell us.
Yeah. Obviously.
I get the whole secrecy and all this, but this is even about my favorite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
And why? You know why?
You know.
Yeah, I know, but why? Yeah.
Come on.
No, but what's the big secret? Everybody knows it's happening.
You know why? Because if it gets out, the government's betraying the American people. You don't care about it going. Like I said,
I thought it was pretty interesting because, like you said, you have people on the left who will say, well, this is a big thing. What did AOC call it? What was AOC calling the issue? Was she calling it a crisis?
Yeah, she called it a crisis at the border when Trump was in office, and then she called it a situation.
What did she call it? Situation. Thank you.
Yeah.
This just goes to show how this administration has no control of anything going on in this country. It's a free-for-all. They have no clue what's going on at the state level. They're so fixated on COVID and jabbing everybody.
Surge.
That the country is. She called it a surge. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
There's a spill of, sorry, but these people aren't sending their best. Kind of like Trump said, there's going to be violence. They're now giving them the ability to vote in New York.
And Cali.
Bad things are going to come from this.
Which that doesn't just affect local elections. These have huge electorates in the federal elections as well. This is a big deal that you can sway an election with, 10 electoral. I mean, this is a big, not that New York or California is going to be going red anytime soon, because everybody that voted red has gotten the fuck out of there. Or getting out of there. But no, I mean, it's a huge deal. And it's not even that. Like, you'll hear people like Nick Vujicic and different major names in speakers that are switching their tone to political alliances, saying, guys, it's not just affecting voting. Human trafficking and going across the border is a human rights violation. There is children being the R word. There is children being trafficked. There's all these different horrific things happening, and ignoring them. If you're truly this liberal and this empath and empathetic, then this should be something taken care of immediately, yesterday. Yeah. And we're ignoring it as a country. We're ignoring the violence against police. We're ignoring that we're ignoring that the defund the police movement failed miserably, and instead pretending like it didn't happen when it should be a discussion.
Does anybody have I have kind of a broad spectrum understanding how long this has been going on. I went to get on an airplane about 8 months ago at the Ontario airport in Southern California, and the entire airport out the door was full of people who just had a piece of paper, no ID, predominantly weren't speaking English, had usually a backpack and a sack that was either
trash bag I just wanted to play my sound effect
something of that nature.
I gotta dip, y'all. You guys have a good show. I gotta get out of here.
Hey, real quick, hold on, Suni, last thing. Yeah, assessing. So the 45th and the 46th. Sorry, we'll come back to you, Easy, because I forgot about the 45th and the 47th. If anybody didn't see, it was when Trump was golfing. Why do you not like that he did that?
Why do I not like it?
Yeah,
because number one, you keep saying that elections aren't free and fair. So how the hell are you saying you're going to win? Two, it strengthens the Q people. Trump's coming back. All this stuff's going to go down. And three, he's just being super arrogant. Like, bro, sit down, fix the things that are going on in this country, and talk about the stuff that the people want to hear, or don't talk at all. I don't like his arrogance. I really don't. And I like it to an extent to where he uses it for good and he's fighting against the media. But how arrogant he is, and then you get on stage and whine and gripe and cry about election shit. I'm like, bro, shut your old ass up and golf.
I like that he was calling his shot. All right, hit the buzzer.
I gotta go, guys. It was good talking to you. I'm out.
Later, Zuni.
Bye.
Sorry. That's good. Sorry, Easy. Go back. I wanted to ask her that because honestly, I thought that was funny as shit. Like, even though I don't even know how I stand on him, I thought it was brilliant. He's like, they're like the 45th president, like 45th and 47th and 47th. So, anyways.
Well, I just wanted to add to it because I think this video is good evidence of kind of the fly by night deal, right? But I don't know that people realize how much of this is happening right in front of their face as they're going through TSA, right? Like, it is, getting on a plane, you got to have your ID, or if you're a minor, you have to have an escort to get on a plane. What I was seeing a mix of people that were not families. These were groups of people that were clearly coming from similar places. And when I went into the airport to get on a plane, I was coming out here to Salt Lake from Southern California, but there was flights all over the country going out of that airport. And I almost missed my flight because that airport's never that busy that I was anticipating having to stand in a TSA line for an hour. Like, it's a small airport. They do international flights, sure. But it was one of those things where I walked in, and when I saw the line was, down the stairs, around the corner, and back out the door, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm going to miss my flight. And then as I'm paying attention, the conversations that people are having, predominantly not in English. You're seeing small groups of people together who have literally like, like the bags that look like they maybe came with, that have some clothes in them and a couple of items. But it was something to me where I was looking at it and I was saying, well, how long has this been going on? And maybe I just came in on a day where there was a lot
How
of
long
traffic
ago was
that was
that?
happening. I have to say it was at least 8 months ago. I mean, like this
so it was still during this presidency.
Oh yeah, no, this
This
had
has
to
been
have been
going
like
on since day one of this presidency.
February, March-ish time, right?
Yeah.
Like this was soon after the election was over and the inauguration had happened. Like it was almost within an immediate fashion. And my complaint about it is that we see these, fly by night kind of stuff, but that's such a small picture by comparison to the amount of people that I saw coming through the airport that day. Yeah. Now, whether that's every day, I don't know. I couldn't give you an idea, but it was, for me, I'm sitting there saying, wow, like this is not just a few people. This is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And they seemingly
they're not all going by air. Some of them are going by bus. So that it's coming on so many different
I was going to say,
it just seemed that airport was an area they had selected for that day to push people through, right?
So I was going to say I had a discussion with a Border Patrol agent here in Texas, and he told me that is the process. So they come through the border. They're offered either a plane ticket or a bus ticket anywhere in the United States. They do not have to have ID. They do not have to have anything. They are escorted through the airport. So I'm not sure if the people you saw in the TSA line are those people, but these people actually get a
there was a ton of extra security, but nobody checking actual It was just TSA opening the gates, and there was just a ton of additional, what looked like to me, border security. Yeah. And where I was living at the time, that would make a lot of sense. They would be there.
So the other thing that they're getting is a card. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been paying attention now that I know about it, but it has a American flag on it. It looks like a Visa prepaid card, and you will see people using it. I've seen it several times now at the grocery store. But yeah, that's what's happening. I mean, this guy told me terrible, terrible things, like to the point where he was physically ill talking about it because of some of the things that he see. I mean, processing 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds who are pregnant, who, have been raped by the people that are taking them over the border. They're without their parents. They're being sold. Okay. He told me his job every morning is to go and fish out children's bodies out of the Rio Grande. Little babies. It's disgusting.
And technically we're enticing it, we're funding it. So those cards, they don't come from, donations. That is a American funded. Our taxpayer dollars are technically going to enticing people to make this trip, whether illegally, all illegally or dangerously, I should say, and causing them to die. It's great. I'm about to do the teaser. We got a couple minutes left where we are going to be on this channel, be on the Be the Change YouTube channel. So we're going to be switching over. We have 20 people still on the regular Be the Change. So if you saw that on your comments, please click the link. It is in there. We're going to switch in about 2 minutes because we're about to wrap up the border and get into Joe Rogan, Trucker Convoy, and Regeneron. Trucker Convoy is another one that's getting touchy to talk about on social media. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's just make sure you guys are switching over. I'm going to watch that number. Do you guys have anything else to say about what's going on at the border in that video?
I'll add one more thing, which is I think I've shared this before on this channel, which is I have had family members who have been touched by this evil thing of trafficking. And the more we allow it to continue to happen, particularly from our southern border, the more it happens in the state and locality near you. Like you could be in the nicest city, in the nicest town, in the nicest place in the country. And I guarantee you will find an underworld that exists that you would never have imagined. And so I just want to, I'll just make an emotional plea and say, think about the border in multiple ways. But one of the most important ways to think about it is the amount of people that are coming over that whether they intend to do harm or not, they're going to get treatment preferentially from people who will give them the odds to survive at life here. and they are typically not the people we want upstanding citizens to associate with, and it just makes it worse for everybody.
Agreed. While we're down to like less than 10 people on that page, which is great. We'll take this little TV timeout to show you some of the new shirts that you guys are gonna like this, and this is very Canada heavy, and we're gonna probably talk about Canada next. So let's see. Bum, bum. I'm gonna pull it up real fast. Let's see. Wait, no, store. Here you go. This is the new one. I think this is very apropos. You guys are gonna like this. So we do have this on the website. Awake for 15% off is the code. So just like the old Just Say No to Drugs, we've got Just Say No to Mandates. This one's very fun. Gotta love this one. We also have, I'm just sharing the screen, so you're probably gonna see it. You see the whole thing moving. I don't know. What else? What are the other ones that we have? We have got the new Awake Not Woke for men. Just Say No to Mandates. We will put this on a ladies shirt as well, hopefully by the end of this night. And then we have got a defund. Let me throw the defund the media one up there because big fan. I know PTP's got one of those. I wear that one all the time, so we designed our own. Let me get back over to this page and back over here. Defund the media. We're probably gonna have, since it's no longer hoodie season. Oh, we don't have that in a black shirt yet, Case. Just so you know. Oh wait, do we?
Defund the media?
Oh yeah, we do. My bad. Scratch that. Pretend like I didn't say anything. I'm not a smart man, Jenny, but I know what love is. All right, here we go. Last thing I'll show, and then we will remove the stream on YouTube. Here you go. So here's the Defund the Media shirt coming in hot. So there you go. Defund the Media. Simple as that. We're going to do that as a hoodie as well. So these are the new shirts. We've also got the Awake Not Woke and probably adding another one soon. Awake for 15% off. You guys get the gist. All right. I'm going to go ahead and remove the stream. If you guys are still there, how many we got left? We got 7. I'm going to make one last post. If you can see this post in that page, head over. Just say no to mandates. That's funny. Head over to, and then also here's this. Head over to the BTC backup, and we are cutting it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Remove. Okay. All right. We are set. All right. Let's go, guys. Let's continue. Let's go ahead and let's talk Trucker Convoy. I know, Casey, you've been quiet for a little bit. You've been working on getting those shirts up. You've been following this Trucker Convoy religiously. What's going on?
Still going, thankfully. There's some interesting things that happened today. The Prime Minister of Quebec, if I say that right, Quebec. Removed the extra tax that they were going to tax unvaccinated people. And so they have now removed that and backed off on it. You have the Prime Minister of, I think they're Prime Ministers. So correct me if I'm wrong. Premier. Thank you. Saskatchewan, that's really fighting against the whole thing, saying we just need to get back to normal. Let's go. And you even had today in the Parliament, they were all meeting and they were calling out the Prime Minister. They were calling out Trudeau, telling him he's a coward and he needs to come out and speak with these guys, pretty much is what they were saying at the Parliament today, which is freaking fantastic. This is showing how powerful you are when you unite with people and you can come together and you can show a presence. Like I was talking about this the night before this was the whole shindig was going to start. And I told you they're going to shut down downtown. And that's exactly what they did. They shut down downtown and the police officers are backing them. The police officers are bringing them food. The police officers are negotiating with them, being like, hey, work with us. We'll work with you. I can't have you come in and block all the streets for all the ambulances and stuff. I need to have emergency services. But you want to be down here, you want to protest, we want to support you to do that.
Because the police don't want to have to enforce this crap. They don't. No. Most of them don't. Some do. Most don't.
And their GoFundMe's raised like $10 million. It's amazing.
So have we been able
also supporting?
Have they tracked down the woman yet that's in charge of it? Do we know? So it's good. Tamara, yeah. Is it good? Did they find her?
Yeah, they found her. Everything's still going. She's just been, what has happened is they've had to branch out into certain different districts within downtown and distribute certain streets to work for some people, certain streets work for certain people. And Tamara's been trying to just juggle all of it. And so she's been kind of in hiding. But earlier today, they did a live on her page explaining, hey, Tamara just hopped out of the truck. We just talked about this. This is what we're talking about today. If a police officer comes and asks you to move your truck, please just move your truck. We're not telling you to leave. You're being asked because you're in the way of something that they are concerned with, not because you're a protester. And so they went and elaborated on all of that. And it's a fantastic thing that's happening. And so it's
Go
great.
ahead, Mo. Go ahead, Mo.
Well, I wanted to bring up something because this is a good example of being awake. Okay. I don't know if some of you guys saw the tweet or the post that Elon Musk made about the truckers, which seemingly was really, really great, right? Like, hey, that's awesome. This guy's supporting the truckers. He's using his platform for this. But let's not forget that Elon Musk is also developing a self-driving big rig truck that will replace those truckers eventually. So stay awake, people. Don't get sold on shit so easily.
But isn't Elon Musk Canadian?
Elon Musk has triple citizenship in South Africa, Canada, and America, and the USA. So one of the things that I love about what they're doing right now, and I think Anthony, you might have done a post about how this is the most Canadian, way to protest ever. They're doing something that we in America have not done for a long time, which is, they are going out and they are making their statement so clear that they're actually saying, we'll do whatever it takes in order to abide by the law, so much so that we're even going to clean up the city. We're going to, and then they referenced clean up the city in order to clean up our government. Right. And I think if we could take that same mentality, we see huge uprising in the lower class communities and their ability to achieve and get more out of what America has to offer, which is ultimately, I think, the span and the difference between where a lot of people lie in their voting block and where they should be, maybe in comparison. And so I wanted to comment on that. One of the things that I have seen come out of this is zero violence. I have seen zero conflict. What I have seen is a tremendous amount of people coming together and saying, you know what, forget the other morals and values that we disagree on. What we know for sure is that we have the right to govern ourselves. And seemingly at this point, it's going well. Now, I did see Trudeau make a statement today or yesterday about, how he supported other matters that are of high social consequence. And I think you referenced BLM. Yeah, I think you referenced BLM and these kinds of things. And I would just say, as much as, maybe those were important causes to him, ultimately, they were the ones that left destruction in the streets. They were the ones that dirtied the streets. They were the ones that tore down buildings and broke into and set things on fire. If there's ever been a protest that clearly indicates how much they want it to be fixed, this is a pretty great example of it.
Meanwhile, you're seeing truckers literally polishing statues downtown. And I'll go more into that. But Casey, I saw you shake your head at this. Go ahead and explain this. Because again, there was that rumor out there. This is going on.
This is mainstream media doing it to you guys. Like, they did shut down the account because how much money they raised so quickly, they needed to validate the intent. Yeah. And so they did freeze it temporarily to validate the intent of the account because it got millions so fast. But they addressed it. It was a quick phone call with GoFundMe, and they released it. But BBC took it through the roof and were like, "Oh, they shut it all down. Don't donate." They do that on purpose so people won't
to make
donate.
It stop. And Eric is Canadian. He's also from up there.
Eric,
right?
And
that's
one
Canadian
other thing
Eric
that,
right there.
like, that's the big part we have to focus on is Canadians are actually exposing their media right now. Mm-hmm. What did we not do on January 6th? We couldn't expose the media.
We failed.
Right.
And that's okay to fail, because I guarantee you this Canadian trucker, and I think that the election is bad.
Sure.
What is happening around the country and the world with mandates is next level bad. That doesn't compare to who your president, but it just so happened that the current president is allowing these things to happen, or actually making these things happen. But what is happening right now to civil liberties across the world is one of the biggest turning points in modern history. And the Canadians are using our failures to make it successful, which we then can also do the same thing. And the great part is about this, like you said, this woman, Tamara, and some of the other pages that you follow. And I do want to talk about the social media suppression, but this is just a trucker. She's some chick, a blue collar woman that is trying to manage $10 million of funding, trying to literally tell people where to go. They're creating districts, they're creating divisions, who's going to what line, and it's all being done on the enemy's platform because they can only shut them down so much. But like, these people are becoming internet sensations overnight. Like, all right, you're going to go to the southern border. If you've got this, you go there. And they're organizing it in a way. And watching some of the videos of the police going, how long do you guys, if the police are very supportive, how long do you guys plan on doing this till it works? That's the key. They are pot committed. They will not leave. I'll talk about the social suppression in a second. Easy, go ahead.
So I was just going to remark, we've been seeing this go around the world. Like, we've seen it in Australia, we've seen it in Britain, we've seen it in other European countries. I think that one of the important things is we're seeing it here now on our continent, right? Mexico has dropped all restrictions. There is no restrictions in Mexico anymore. And to the north, our Canadian friends are saying enough is enough. So now there are things that are close enough to home where people are, in my opinion, going to get a little bit more like, well, wait a second, we're United States. We reserve this power. And yet here in this country and in this country, and we're sandwiched between them, they're taking it back without asking. And I think that's one of the things that's hindering us right now. We're waiting for somebody to tell us what to do. We just have to do it. And I think this trucker convoy is something that, maybe people here should consider.
Well, and I want to touch on that when we're done covering this, talking about what's going on here. So
yeah,
cover your social media.
You know what this feels like? This feels like in like the mainstream movie, like just in a movie where they're talking about like, how do you feel about Spider-Man? I don't know how about vigilantes. Like, we're on some random show and we're like, the truckers. I feel like it's something from a movie where you're like, man, the truckers convoy is showing that this is what being American and we the people and Canadian, what it's all about is this truckers convoy. And I feel like this is like a soundbite from a movie. Unfortunately, we're actually living this shit in the real world. So real quick, in terms of suppression, because I saw this, there's a guy that's what's the guy's name, Casey, that's been filling in for Tamara for the viral videos?
Real Pat King.
Real Pat King.
Yep.
Super funny to watch. Very politically incorrect, but he's like, I'm in a secure location there, and he's just funny. When you're watching him, he's got about 10,000 live viewers. At Cash's peak, the most Cash ever had on a show was 5,000. So from a virality standpoint, to tell you how much the algorithm is getting shut down, even though that's 10,000 people have found a way, they're sharing. So I saw this one statistic. He had 12,000 comments on one video, 9,100 shares. I believe it was approximately 40,000 likes or hearts or whatever. His total views was 188,000. To put that in perspective, when I had a couple viral videos a couple months ago, I had about 100 live viewers. It got up to about 150 live viewers, and it snowballed. I had approximately 1,200 comments and about 600 or 700 shares, maybe 1,000 to 1,200 likes. So a fraction of this, and I got upwards of 170,000 views. So this guy's got this much going on, and he only had 188,000 views. So once he is done in that live, he is being completely stopped by the algorithm on Facebook and shut down. I think that's fascinating. And this is that suppression that is showing that they're like, oh shit, this is working. And it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he's consistent at 12,000 or more. Yeah. Consistent. And it's nuts on how much people still get through, still be able to watch it. But he should be able to get 20 or 30,000 with that type of activity. But he's being silenced big time.
Go ahead, Mo. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mo.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I had a question not related to this, but I didn't want to move on too quickly. You said, who's the lady that started this convoy? What's her name?
Tamara Leach, Lich.
And what's the story like on how she did that? Like, how did she?
There was an idea thrown out, and then all of a sudden, like a few of the truckers started talking about it, and apparently they just pursued it. Is my understanding.
But is she tied to the truckers?
Yeah, she's in the trucking industry. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. She's a bougie trucker. I saw her. She's got the fancy boots and stuff. She's we the people. And you're also hearing, and you see these videos of these tough truckers bawling their eyes out because they get some cookies from kids, and they're saying, there's kids like, I don't even know. Thank you for fighting for it. Like it's powerful because it's not even that 10 million. There's websites up where they're supporting these truckers where they can have a place for them to sleep at night. Like the amount of community support. And again, there's still haters. There's people that think this is bullshit. It's no different than the United States. But the people like us in Canada are saying, "Stay in my house. Let's take this until everything changes." It's amazing. There's some breaking news apparently about an hour ago. I did not know it was possible, but Whoopi Goldberg has been suspended from The View.
What?
Yes.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Did you see her exchange with Julie Chen a week ago or so?
That's not why. Yes, but that's not why she's suspended. She's suspended about the whole Holocaust stuff, which is mind-boggling. Just Google it after we get off. She apologized, but she took time to quote unquote reflect and learn of her comments. She claimed that Nazis and Jews were both white on Monday's program, which yes, they are. But she literally talked about how it had nothing to do with race, even though Hitler referred to the German Nazis as the master race, but whatever. So it's just, somebody said to me, like, when are they going to get her kicked off? Which she's not kicked off, she's suspended. But I was like, out of all the things she said in the past, I don't think this is any different than anything else.
No.
Like, she's such a hateful, horrific human being.
Yeah. Now they have to get the other hags off there too.
So I will say this is I think we are starting to see a tide turn. I think it's important to recognize some of these small, like, they may not seem like a huge win today, but like Whoopi Goldberg has been on that show for 15
Since
years.
It started,
I don't know. Just a ridiculously long time. Now, she may be phased out and maybe somebody that they don't want to deal with anyways, but we have to take and we have to put place markers in and say, this person was held accountable because nobody was willing to let her get away with it anymore. And I'm seeing that happen on other news channels as well. Like you look at CNN, they have changed a lot of their narrative. They're asking questions about cognitive decline and all sorts of interesting things that we have long talked about. And then
it's because it's gotten so blatant that they can't ignore it. Like
right. I just think it's such an interesting point. And I think we should put these small markers in place to say that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. And I think that the tide is turning at least from directionally insane to all right, let's try and cover our tracks.
Yeah, and there's some great somebody, I think it was Kelly Harder sent me something, but it was like she like look at the comments on this, and it was a comments about V's, and it was not on a conservative page. It was on just a random page, and these people were like, I had this person die of advert. I had this. You guys are full of shit. Go shove it. Like all these different things. I'm like, okay, the tide is officially turning. You've got what's happening in Canada. Australian citizens have been fighting back for a long time. They don't have any pew pew. Like they've got at the end of the day, they can just be like, sit in front. Who cares? You're in Australia. Drink some Fosters. But in Canada, the blueprint has been made. The United States, if you look at social media, the tide is turning. The narrative is crumbling. And I'll talk a little bit about the Regeneron. Like they've done so much. They've hidden in plain sight so much that you can't but think that people are starting to wake up. And we might actually have Jay back on the show pretty soon. I just got to do it on a different night than Wednesday or Tuesday. So we'll do that. Casey, before we go to the next topic, do you want to show that video?
Yeah, I want to do two things. I want to show this, and then I want to recap what's going on here in America.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. And then we'll move on.
Just got overwhelmed. We opened up one of the bags to see what they had.
Audio is good.
And I got punched in the heart. Whoever these people are, They had their kids do up a bag with a cookie in it for the truckers, and they attached a note with it, put their artwork on there. Sorry, I'm getting emotional again. I'm going to show you what it was, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. Some little kid made this. Reach for the stars, we believe in you. And there's a picture of a truck. Inside of it, they left a note. The note says, "Dear Mr. or Mrs. Trucker, it's really awesome that you're standing up for human rights. I'm only 11, so I don't know much about it, but I believe what's happening is wrong. And I know you can do it. Sincerely, Kate." And she's got a cookie in a baggie for a trucker. This is absolutely amazing, and this is why we're doing it. All you parents out there that know what's going on, God love you for letting your kids know. I'm going to sign off. Please just share this everywhere. This is amazing.
And if you want to follow what they're doing, it's Truckers Convoy 2022, right? Or Ottawa Truckers Convoy 2022.
Freedom Convoy. Hang on, let me flip back here.
Double check that one.
Yeah.
So people
Freedom
are talking.
Convoy 2022 support is like the best place to be.
And there's just their constant videos. This is not that's not a random story. Like that's happening a ton. These people are just having people make meals, giving them cookies. Final thing, do you know anything about the nails the people putting? There was the whether it's the government, did any tires get flattened, any of that?
No, thankfully they stopped. But where that came from, I have no clue. That's the only thing that bothers me is they're saying it was this, it was that. But there's no confirmation of where the nails came from. But yeah, there were nails spread across the highway, and cops and other truckers were all stopped, and they were all going out on the road, picking them up and cleaning them up off the road by hand.
Wow.
It's insane. You can't, I feel like there's nothing in the Bible that says anything about a convoy of truckers. But again, it's these things that come from, you don't know where the change is going to come from. And I feel like I sound hyperbolic when I'm talking about how big of a deal this is, but this is a huge deal. We are, and the way the media is covered, it makes it even bigger to me. Cause the prime minister talking about it being a fringe minority and the news ignoring it completely, like it's not even happening. Hundreds of thousands of trucks, people blocking the border. My aunt lives in Detroit. She is a liberal, or she is a left, whatever, Democrat, whatever you want to call it. And she had no idea that there are trucks lined up a highway 20 minutes from her house. It's not on the local news. It's not on the national news. Nobody knows what's going on. This is strictly a grassroots creation, bucking the system and ignoring this fringe comment stuff. And it's words can't express how fantastic it is to see this. So that was why we were discussing, is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Casey, you're gonna wrap this one up. Was there something else I was gonna bring up? Oh, well, somebody asked about the police gunman killing. There's two police officers killed in Virginia. Again, sad, and it's just another day. And it's on ABC News. People are killing police officers. And it's happening at a rate higher than any other year, and it has not once been, I believe, as it was talked about during today's press conference, and barely really even discussed. Like it was almost like, we have addressed things. Nothing is really different than usual, and they're pretending like nothing's happening. And the statistics show that it is bad. So
wasn't that the video in New York of all those officers like lined up in the streets, like saluting? I mean, I was so emotional watching that. It was
the white gloves.
Yeah.
So can I just add one more thing, Casey, before you wrap up, which is
your shirt, Tracy.
I think it's something like 40 or 50% of families in this country rely on drivers for income, which is a huge amount of people. And, Eric kind of said, did somebody cut an onion here? Like that kind of stuff. You have to recognize these people are taking out of their own time. They're taking out of, feeding the local communities. and they have rallied support behind them. I just kind of want to make that note because it is a huge majority of the working class that works in that field. And I know, Casey, you've got some family and stuff, so I'll let you touch on that. But I just wanted to put that in perspective for a lot of people. This is not like an easy thing to do. It's not easy to put truckers together and get them to drive across the country to preserve freedom.
Far. Last thing I'll say, I know.
Note
go ahead.
Just had me kind of.
No, and when I watched it the first, same thing. I'm like, this is amazing what's happening. It's these little stories, it's these little anecdotes, and they're happening all over. But a friend of Kelly's is from Canada, and they've got a friend that drove 2,400 miles across Canada. Like the amount of, and it's not just taking days up. They are spending their own money on fuel, hopefully getting some help from this GoFundMe. They are doing, and they're losing days and days of work. They are doing what everybody in the United States needs to start doing. You're about to get forced to get boosted and juiced and all these different things. No offense, love you guys, but you failed. No offense. The first time around, and I get it. You have family support. You have food to put on the table. I 100% understand it. But from a perspective of standing up for what you believe in, you failed. This is an opportunity to not. We the people are about to be forced into a quote unquote third booster. If you have complied to this point, don't. I've had a couple people reaching out. What do I do? Stand your ground. The tide is turning soon enough. The American people, the only way that this stops is by stepping up. If you're 10 weeks away from graduation, I love you. I know who you are. You probably know who I'm talking about you. Tell them to suck a bag of D's, literally, and just let it go. Come back 10 months later, to come back in a year, whatever it is. This is a moment you're going to look back at when you're 60, 70, 80 years old, and you're going to say, I stood my ground. I was on a Clubhouse, and I talked about this on a live. This young girl is 24 years old, was the only one that was anti-truckers in this group. And she's like, I haven't been, like, for 2 years, this pandemic, I've had to go outside and do mental health walks. We don't get to go out anymore. And I'm so sick of being inside, and I don't get to have university like everybody else. And then she goes, and you've got these older people, and I don't mean to be an ageist. We've got these older people that are like being crybabies, and they're, doing whatever. And I just feel as though that we just need to get our 2 shots and be done with it. Let it go. And it's like, okay, first off, you're about to be on shot 3. You're about to be on shot 4. And what she doesn't understand is the people that are like the truckers and the people that are refusing to get it done for their jobs, they're the ones that are going to stop this. The people that are complying, that are going, well, I might need my mental health walk. Those are the people that are letting this continue. Let me be very clear about that. So anyways, Casey, wrap up this subject.
No, and 100%. Just to elaborate just a little bit on what you're talking about, that's what Utah's doing. So Utah, we signed a bill of SB 2004. Not even before. Well, we brought in an early session with our legislature to be able to vote on something, and SB 2004 made it to where all employers cannot force you to get a vaccine or force you to have weekly testing unless you are under a government contract. That's the only stipulation in that bill. There is a bill that is on the table now saying no matter what, they cannot force you to get the vaccine, whether you are a customer or an employee. Now, I am against that bill because I want to respect the company's rights, and they can choose if they only want vaccinated people in, then capitalism will take advantage of that. But that's where you make these changes. Your legislature has to make changes to the laws to be able to give power to where it needs to sit. Now, to wrap up the truckers for here in America. So here in Utah, we have a trucker convoy that we are doing here on Saturday that I will be going to. You guys will see me doing some lives while I'm there. We're going to be driving around Salt Lake. The route's not being listed because of there's expected to have some people there that are not going to participate in a positive manner. So we will be releasing it that day. And then when it comes to the nationwide one, and there's others happen in other states too. They just did one over in California and driving up to Vancouver. They did that last weekend too, just to show some support. But here there is a convoy to DC being planned There's a leaked image out, which is not accurate. It says March 1st. That's not true. They have not figured out a date yet, so don't count on that. They're trying to figure out as soon as possible when to. There's some pushback because they're trying to figure out how to not stomp on Canada's feet and take some of their attention away. And so there's some figuring out there, but there are things in the works here in America to do the same thing. And we're going to emphasize the exact same things that they are emphasizing: no violence, unity, don't care about politics. We want to see things change in our country. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Can I say something really quick?
Of course.
So I know a lot of people struggle with how they get involved. How do I get involved in this type of stuff? You guys go on Facebook, search up your local groups, start there, search up local patriot groups, any keywords that you can find that you can search up groups. usfreedomflyers.org is a great website. I have done probably 10 of their rallies for vaccines. They specifically focus on vaccines for airline employees, for medical professionals. And if you sign up on their website, they will email you, let you know where their events are going to be. They're all over the place. The last one I just did, Chad Prather was there. It was a huge event. And most of all, go to one and just see. Even if you don't go there and do anything, just go there and just feel what it feels like to be a part of something so important. Go talk to the people that are actually affected by this. When you hear people's stories, when I was at American Airlines and Southwest Airlines talking to pilots and flight attendants that were ready to give up their career for this.
Yep.
It's
Mo,
something that I can't explain.
Yeah, if I can just add to that, I think one of the things people need to be very aware of is that, large retail businesses, although probably not announced on a large scale right now, have been taking feedback from employees. And I know that there are a few large retailers right now outside of Starbucks who made a big announcement who are not going to be enforcing any of this stuff. So they've said, because this is not a mandate and because the courts have cleared it, we're not going to include it in our private business stuff. So we're getting there. I think it's just been a slow march, and I just want everybody to kind of, as we're, like I said, place markers. So, look at large retail businesses. They're not going to want to foot the bill for something that is not necessary at this point. So look for those small markers, guys.
So we're going to start moving on to the, I'm going to talk about Regeneron. We'll talk briefly because I have a very long video earlier that explains it. I do want to address this. And I think this has to do a little bit with the Regeneron thing. What about, what did he say it? He said, now that people don't trust V's, I wonder what happened when a deadly virus actually appears. And that's a key. And I think this is gully bull, which usually is against us. But I think that's a great question because there's also some food for thought that some of these V's can prevent success for future need for an mRNA against a virus that has a 20% death rate. The fact is they've just built this up to something that it is not. The numbers are inflated. We've all realized that over time. So when something new comes out, I am concerned. And this is not to say that I will never take a V for something like COVID. If something comes down the line that is attacking healthy people at a death rate of 20% or more, and there is some miraculous thing that they're like, you could get Guillain-Barré, you could get myocarditis, or you can have a 1 in 5 chance of living, I'm probably going to start, I'll be on here going, look, here's the risk reward. It's your choice. I'm probably going to take it. It's attacking people that are like me. So I do think there is going to be a need for this kind of conversation then, but we have such a failed perspective of the media and of the government at this point. Yeah, Ebola, like what is that, 60-70% mortality rate? Let's not take remdesivir because it doesn't work yet. We use it for COVID. Anyways, all right, let's get to Regeneron real quick. I talked about it in depth earlier. I had an argument with a girl that is one of Kelly's good friends. I didn't even have an argument. She shared a post, and I've been itching to say something. I'm like, Kelly, can I? And she shared something from the Unbiased Science Pod, which if you guys don't know on Instagram, it's my least favorite page on all of Instagram, and they're the most biased. So it was essentially talking about why they dropped the monoclonal and how like all these new therapeutics that they have are great. Plaxivir, Monopavir, one is still a monoclonal, and then remdesivir early treatment, which is more of an outpatient, even though you have to get it given to you with supervision. So she sends me a document by the NIH, which already I'm like, cool, NIH, like this is going to be friggin' brilliant. And I went down it and I looked at it in depth. The recommendations make no sense of anything of why. Because the big thing with DeSantis saying, why did they pull Regeneron? There's no data. There is no data. That's what I said. I go, why would you pull something without data? Just all of a sudden EUA approved these other things. Guess what? They don't have any fucking data either. They don't even have clinical trials. Their clinical trials are so minuscule and their controls are so out of bounds that it's mind-boggling. Again, I've got a 30-minute video. It's on the Be the Change Facebook page. I encourage you to watch it. It's a little bit data heavy, but ultimately, here's the shit that you need to look out for. Plaxivir, which is the number one suggestion, that is the $700 pill made by Pfizer. That $700 pill treatment mirrors, by the way, according to an actual rep from Pfizer, said it's really similar to hydroxyquin. And I was like, well, that's fascinating, because everybody said it was like the ivermectin. And it turns out that this one does have a high efficacy based on their data, which does not show the controls. Obesity and diabetes, only the Monopavir test actually shows it. So they tested 2,200 people, and it showed an 88% reduction of hospitalization and death, which they grouped together. So you don't know with hospitalization or death. You're not sure. They keep that very vague. 2,200 people, it shows a decent, cool, whatever. There is no data on Regeneron, the monoclonal antibody, which all monoclonals are different, except for in this case, they're really similar. The monoclonals directed towards COVID are similar, which they are saying Regeneron in vitro. To tell you what in vitro means, it means in a petri dish. When they're testing it that way, it does not, it looks as though the Omicron variant goes around it. Cool. That's the only thing. They've never tested it in clinical trials. That's not even in the NIH document. Lastly, the side effects. So the available monoclonal that's out there, available being in quotes because it is not out there. Regeneron is the only one that had enough, but the one you're allowed to use. That was the key. They pulled the one that had enough to use. The safety data is good on that. The safety data on Monopavir, which is the last recommendation, that is the Merck version, is horrific. If you're a sexually reproductive age male having sex with a female that is of reproduction age and you have a chance to get them pregnant, it says in there, by guidelines, we recommend you wait 3 months after this treatment to have sex. 3 months. 3 months, because of what it can do from a genetic disposition. It also suggests against breastfeeding women. You cannot feed your child. What is in this that is an issue? Lastly, it says pregnant women should not get it unless they're under supervision, and if they are, pregnant women should not get it, period, unless none of the other drugs they're able to use, if none of them are available, then maybe you can take it. And if I was a pregnant woman hearing like, we really suggest against this, take this pill. I'm pretty sure that nobody should take that. So nobody's ever going to actually read this data. And then Plaxivir has drug interactions with a laundry list of other drugs. You can't, like St. John's wort, you can't even take it with. And the laundry list of other drugs are also things that are ingredients in other drugs. So for the most part, you really can't even take that unless it's a bad idea. There's other countries that have banned this, by the way, just to be clear. And the last thing I'll say on this, and then we can move on, unless you guys want to talk about it more, to Joe Rogan, is Japan, who seems to care about their citizens, have said that the ivermectin is working really well in clinical data against Omicron. So again, something we can't use in the United States for whatever reasons, because it's got one of the best safety trials and data on the planet, and all of a sudden we're not using it because it's a dollar.
Can I just address a couple of comments that are being made here? So I see Grant talking about this being developed using fetal cells and stuff like that. One of the things that's important to know, Grant, is that stem cells can be used from a myriad of places. There's actually been some, I believe there's some bans on fetal stem cell research, which is one of the reasons why we don't like what now it's escaping my mind, the clinics, what they do, because they use fetal stem cells. So I just wanted to address this because I just did a fact check on that, and it looks like they are using stem cells, but nothing that I could show using fetal stem cells to develop any of these monoclonal treatments. And as somebody who used monoclonal treatments, I can tell you right now that all of the doctors that were administering them said if they had known how well they were going to work, probably would have made a different decision about taking a jab. So just for context, understand that a lot of what's out there is misinformation, and it's okay to throw your opinion in there. But I just kind of want to clear that up because I think that if you go hit Google real quick, you're going to see a whole bunch of confirming things. But when you dig into it, like USA Today did a fact check on this, they came back and said, no, what they're using is stem cells that were frozen about 20 years ago in order to do work specifically on this, on these types of things. So I just wanted to kind of address that comment because I think it's you just haven't done quite enough research to understand it, and it's important to remember on an ethical base. We're with you. I don't think that any of us want to see fetal stem cells be a starting point for medicine.
And that is, and just as a heads up, that is correct. It is 85% VED. They have also, I believe as though they don't have any mandates there. People have just chosen to get it. And they also, every time there are bad quote unquote batches, they've pulled them. And they've even temporarily done studies on them. I don't agree with that many people being VED. It is what it is. That's fine. I don't care. But they're also being very clear on, and I believe is that I could be wrong on this one. I'd have to double check. I don't believe Japan allows either Plaxivir or Molnupiravir because of the dangerous side effects. So they actually listen to something. So again, you guys keep getting, and I know you just talked about the fetal cells, and people, I think that is it's a dangerous world to talk about because a lot of our drugs, a lot of them come from the original fetal cell, but very few of them. That's what they're trying to say about the V. And that is not my issue with the V. Essentially in early testing on a lot of stuff, they use fetal cells, figure out whether or not you're for it or against it, etc. I don't, whatever, but there's not fetal cells in the actual product.
And there was a technological leap that happened 20 or 30 years ago where, again, fetal stem cells are important and they play a role, but you can get stem cells from just about any part of any person's body at this point. So I'll have to fact check some more into that, but just on a preliminary check, it seemed like there was some confusion about the development and how it was being used. I'll do more onto it and kind of address it later if it's something we want. But I just was looking at that and I'm saying, hey, maybe there's some truth to it, but from what I could fact check on a quick reality,
this is relatively accurate. There's fetal cells that have been used in a lot of medical areas, and they've essentially cloned them from the get-go, and they use these same clones. It's like I don't know. I don't know how many babies, unfortunately, were killed 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Sorry, and I didn't mean to derail the conversation into...
No, you're good. You're good. No, they brought it up. Mo, go ahead.
Just,
I'm just a little confused where we're getting this killed babies for the stem cells thing, because I'm a mother and I have a 20-year-old, and 20 years ago when I had her, they asked me, because you actually have to be alive when they take the stem cells. So, and they have to be about 3 to 5 years, or I'm sorry, 3 to 5 days old. They take it from the cord, and they asked me, like, do you want to donate the stem cells from the cord? And I said, yes, because wouldn't I want to help? Why wouldn't I want to help medicine? Right. Like, it could come back around and help me sometimes. So I'm a little bit confused. And maybe it's just not knowing like why people are so, like, when they hear the word stem cells, why it's such a triggering word. I think if
Planned
it's being
Parenthood still does a lot of backdoor.
So can they take it from an aborted fetus?
I'll just say this. I'll encourage everybody to do a little bit of diving into
good luck finding
into
it,
Planned
though,
Parenthood
honestly.
and yeah, they have some interesting stuff that they're able to do with aborted
but
babies,
from the scientific perspective, I think what Mo is saying is probably more accurate. I need to do some more looking too. I've been told this, and honestly, if it was aborted babies 20 years ago, and to create something cloned, and they used babies that were aborted, I'm sorry, from a standpoint of my personal constitution, there's nothing that can be done with those children at this point anyways, and it was cloned. It's not like we're farming babies. And then to what Mo said, it sounds like that might not be the case. And this is that red meat bait that they give conservatives to go so that they can come back and be like, see, punked y'all, inaccurate. You guys think that it's all about abortions and gay marriage and all this. And it's like, no. There's some real, there's some actual facts. Yeah. All right.
Sorry to derail. I apologize.
No. It's because honestly, I didn't even know what Mo just said was news to me. All right, let's go into our final topic. We can make a joke about the gay penguin thing, which is still hilarious. But maybe
I need to know. Okay. I want to know.
I feel like I heard about this a while back, but I didn't think it was
So here's my issue. Here's my issue. Gay penguin couple becomes first-time dads in New York Zoo. What the fuck?
What?
Yeah. So it's a New York Zoo. Same-sex penguin couple hatched a baby chick. Will now raise the chick as a pair. My big question is, how do you you're like, hey, look at those two penguins, definitely gay. Like, I don't know how that even becomes a thing. I really don't care if a penguin's gay. Not my issue to judge. I don't know how did they come out of their closet like, Mom, Dad, I like men. I don't know.
Hey.
Here's my issue and why I'm so confused is, let me see if it's in this article.
Well, wait. Are they? Did they just adopt another penguin that got led away from its family?
Pause.
Okay.
So that's my thing. I'm like, oh, beautiful. I don't know why you had to, whatever, but it's two gay penguins. I still want to know how they know they're gay. Like, are they walking around with a flag or what? But here's my issue. So here it is. The zoo had relied on foster penguins to incubate eggs in the past as a way to increase the odds of hatching a chick. In this case, an egg laid by a female penguin, Paquita, and her mate Vente laid a Vente. Does that mean he's big? Anyways,
right? Why do they got to be an interracial penguin couple?
I don't know.
On top of that?
Laid a viable egg on December 23rd. So they laid a viable egg, which they swapped with a dummy egg. The viable egg was given to Elmer and Lima, which are two gay penguins. Again, which were deemed a more successful pair to incubate. I want to know why we're effing with science and human Mother Nature, even though we've pinned these animals in an area. What makes it? They took away. Paquita and Vente should have a lawsuit. They had their baby stolen from them. I don't get what's and let's, you know what? This is a more suitable pair. These gay parent penguins. I can't say this with a straight face. I don't get it.
Can I take first stab at this?
Careful how you say the word stab. Go ahead.
So, having watched a fair amount of documentaries in my life, I've watched an interesting one, and there are seemingly pairs of penguins that do break the norm from a reproductive standpoint. And one of the, at least according to the Discovery documentary that I watched, they will give each other rocks in lieu of eggs, and they will pretend to kind of hatch a family, right? So I think there is some nature that is in this, but I can't get behind stealing a baby to give it to another couple in the ideology of, well, it sounds like political correctness is where they're going with this, and I think it is a strange and bizarre thing. And save it be for an abandoned egg in the wild that two male penguins, I guess, decide to get together to coddle. This one makes no sense to me.
I love this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, first of all, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm exhausted, but as soon as I get off of this show, I'm going to go watch some penguin porn. and figure out how they even have sex to begin with, because they're so like straight. So I'm just like, what? Like, I just want to know. And I'm like, and I made the mistake of Googling it, and it says that
The NSA is coming for you.
it says the male sprays sperm into the female's cloaca. So spray intrigued me, and I need to see this.
So I guess there is penguins, according to the BBC, flirt with homosexuality, and that there is sometimes upwards of 30% of the penguin population that flirts on the line of a intersex couple. I don't know, but here, this is the last thing I'm going to say. So on totalfratmove.com, the headline is "Gay Penguins Become Foster Parents" by TFM, aka Total Frat Move. The penguins' names are Elmer and Lima. They're now proud penguin dads of little penguin guy. How nice. Apparently, the two had been tested because they had broken some eggs in the past. But when they passed the test, zoo people put in a rear egg, and boom, penguin baby. Gay penguin dads. That's the best explanation that I've heard.
Wait. Did you say a rear egg? No pun intended. Like in the rear? Like
I didn't mean to say that. Did I say that? Where did I say that? Rear egg? Real egg. Real
real
egg.
I heard rear. Okay.
Yeah. It's a whole different way of okay. Ending it with
Happy feet. Go watch it.
It's a very interesting way to support what is a very minute and small portion of the population. It is strange to me.
Happy feet. There was a few lisps in there. I'm just saying.
Musical. It was a musical.
Oh, it was a musical. Forget about it. Okay. Joe Rogan. Let's end on Joe Rogan. I'm going to look up some stuff tonight. Oh, that's
hell
gross.
Yeah.
There's Penguin Spray 37, the ultimate Arctic attack. Joe Rogan is under attack. 2 weeks ago, we talk about Joe Rogan a lot now. We thought he was untouchable. This is interesting. The bigger he became, now they're trying to find a way to make him fall. I think his video was brilliant in terms of his response. I know Kelly and some people have said that it was too soft, but I think there's a reason for what he did and what he said. Anyways, this attack on Joe Rogan, Casey, does anybody want to talk about it? Anybody know really what's going on?
You know what? I kind of agree with Kelly. I think some people were saying, like, ABL posted a video today, and he's like, he did not apologize. I kind of feel like he did kind of apologize.
Oh, he apologized, but with a wink. There was definitely a wink.
I get that, but I didn't like that he said, I'm going to do a better job of like having different opinions. I'm like, Joe, what are you talking about, dude?
That was my favorite part, because what he was essentially doing, do you not think that Joe has already been like more Sanjay Gupta's? All he did was open the door even more publicly of saying, I welcome everybody on my show. Nobody on the other side is going to take the fucking offer. Sanjay Gupta, who is media trained, is a pretty decent doctor, got his ass handed to him on that show. So to me, this was perfect. He legitimately went and he's like, I'll play by your playbook and I'm still going to win, but thanks for caring. Neil Young, love him. There was a concert. I'm related. Like, it was so much sugar and sweet. They want the Meghan Markles, the Neil Youngs, even the Spotify president. They wanted Joe Rogan to blow up. They wanted him to go with, fine then, you know what? Go F yourselves. You know what? Look at me. You've already mischaracterized me. They wanted that. And all he did was, man, it's cool. Like, come on.
Okay.
Let's continue the conversation. I think there was a lot in the syntax of that 9-minute video, because right now he's getting challenged. The Neil Young, the other aging rock star, and a couple other nobodies didn't mean much. Meghan Markle and the Prince mean something. So now, and then 200 and something doctors, again, we're not going to hear their names. There's a coalition of people. There's people that are starting to actually pose a threat. I think Joe Rogan has a great backup plan. I'm sure he's got something, because he can charge $1.99 a month, and everybody there, he'd have 10 million viewers on that, and he'd be even making more money than he does there. And it would be great, because it's totally open conversation. But I think what it was brilliant. Casey, I know you watch a lot of Joe Rogan as well.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Like I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they were complaining about the same thing. They're like, Joe Rogan pussed out, and I'm like, no, he didn't. Like, he's playing chess, And that's exactly what he's doing, is he's setting people up so he can actually still continue. And he wants to bring more people on his show and break it down in a civil conversation the way he does. He approaches conversations in the most amazing way. No one else does that.
He
and
listens.
So that's what's so great about him.
Yeah.
I think I heard from him a couple of times that he was going to become more informed on the subject to ask better questions. And one of the things that I think he does really well is he asks the everyman question, right? What you and I are thinking, and Joe Bob down the street are thinking. But I kind of agree in the sense that he took a soft tone. He said, "Okay, like in order to keep arrangements good, I'm going to kind of make sure that everybody feels like, hey, they have a fair space to come on here." But I think Joe Rogan with more information is a much more dangerous interviewer than he is as a dude sitting down with a check sheet of, here's 10 questions I want to ask and get out of you. That's my personal opinion on it, but I do think it is interesting. One of the things I did not like is I don't know if anybody saw the amount of people that were kind of off to the sides. My wife likes Brene Brown, if anybody knows who that is. Right. But she had gone just for some personal time, and her timeline, her Spotify channel, everything blew up. Was, I hope you're doing this because of the misinformation from Joe Rogan. And she got on today and said, I was taking a personal vacation. Sorry, I don't believe people should have to not have hard conversations. Which, if you know who
did
Brene
she really
Brown
change
is,
that today?
Yeah, which if you know who Brene Brown is, I mean, like, this is somebody who leans way
left
deep into the left.
Mm-hmm.
And so to get that backing, and as far as saying, like, this is not what impacted me to take a vacation, was, I think, probably for her viewers, that's like a cardinal sin, if you will, right? So I think he softened his tone, and he said, okay, if we have to preface it with this is information that's going to be maybe disputed by the public or whatever. I think that was him taking a small L so that he can go in and be the big fish eating everybody as he goes down the line.
It's like in arm wrestling where, like, part of it is you kind of let a little bit and then you go back. Like, I agree with you there. And honestly, I'm going to take back my, because I actually, for a very leftist, don't mind Brene Brown, but I read everything yesterday. As of yesterday,
you need to feel good about yourself. Throw on a Brene Brown podcast to tell you're the shit, and everybody's happy, right?
No, she's good, and I was very upset as somebody. And Marianne Williamson is another one of the people on the left that I'm a huge fan of, and she spoke up in defense of Joe Rogan today and yesterday. Yeah. And if Brene Brown, so I think it's fascinating that as of yesterday, the media automatically, because nobody gives a shit about actual truth anymore. It was under the impression, based on the media, that she was pausing hers in protest of Joe Rogan, and now she's admitting that she's saying that it wasn't that way.
Was in direct conflict to that. Yeah, absolutely.
So I retract that.
I will say I was watching the View clips yesterday that I like to watch. This is pre Whoopi getting kicked off, but they obviously, now that I'm hearing what you guys are saying about it, they obviously fell for it hook, line, and sinker, because they were like, I'm really happy that he apologized and he did the right thing. So hey, maybe it is working.
Yeah, that was the most syrupy sweet apology in history that had a lot of undertones. I mean, you also had the part about, if they want to put up a disclaimer, because he even said, put up the disclaimer. I think that's a great idea, because people should be able to know that they need to do their own research, using that terminology that they hate, to do your own research. And I think it was typical. I think it was Donald Trump 2019 4-dimensional chess. He was playing on a keyboard from a different universe, and
very interesting.
Yeah, so that's all I got. We were going to talk about the word liberal. I don't think we need to. I think it's, I talked about it. We can talk about it another time. I think the word liberal is bastardized, in my opinion, but that's another time.
What? Do you guys think? Okay, so I was listening to, what was I listening to? Oh my gosh, Sebastian Gorka. And he was talking about the difference between a leftist and a liberal. And like people were, it was a really interesting conversation.
Sebastian Gorka? What was it? Give me the Cliff Notes.
That was the fucking Cliff Notes.
So did he say that they were two? Did he say they were two very different things?
I mean, he was basically saying like a leftist is like you're more extreme, like liberal, but a liberal is kind of like, to him, a liberal is who a Democrat basically is a liberal. A leftist is almost its completely different category.
Which has become the Democrat Party.
Which has become the Democrat Party, yeah. But there was a lot of people calling in and they were like, how dare you say that we're this, that, and the other? I'm a liberal. And he's like, no, you're a leftist. It was pretty. Did you hear it? Did you hear it, Easy? You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't hear it. I've just kind of heard him, his consistency in the past. And one of the things, he makes a very specific, definitive, like there is extreme right, there is extreme left, there is moderate, there is Republican, Democrat. And if you look at the term liberal, it's much closer to libertarian than it is to Democrat or Republican or any of these things. Yeah. And so that's kind of his consistent message. I would assume that's kind of where he was speaking on from a level-headedness, right? Mm-hmm. But it all goes back to the bastardization of our language. We've allowed people to hijack, the term leftist, and that means Democrat, right? Whereas extreme right means, terrorist, right? Like these are the things that people do to our language. And it quite frankly, it hurts everybody's ability to communicate on a platform or a level that is understood. Flat out, I could have a conversation with somebody. I could use the word liberal, and they're gonna automatically assume far left at this point. Right. So it's one of those things where they've taken the word and they've moved the goalposts so far away from what it initially meant.
I guess we're gonna go here. We're gonna have the discussion. So real fast. So the definition of the word liberal is open to new ideas, favoring reform, tolerant of the ideas and behavior of others, not bound by traditional thinking, broad-minded. A synonym is broad-minded. Now, then there is the of relating to a characteristic of liberalism, which is more of the political side. Let's see. So it's in the past. See, it all relates to that first statement, because then it says of designating or characteristic of a political party founded on or associated with the principles of social and political liberalism, especially in Great Britain, Canada, and the United States. And the original liberal believed in free thought. It was open to new ideas, like maybe we need to actually do some of our own research on V's. Maybe we need to not be against mandates. So that really is truly the definition of a liberal, but we've associated it with the Democratic Party, and that is no longer correct. And for months, I think from the beginning of us doing this show, I always try to correct myself when I say, like, this liberal did this. It's not true. They're not liberals. The term's been bastardized. It's bullshit. Yeah. They're leftists. They're Democrats, but liberal is right now, I would associate the terminology liberal with more of the Trump-minded conservative, to be totally honest.
Here's a good example. It says liberals believe that there should be more tax breaks for the wealthy and less government oversight overall. Leftists believe that the wealthy should pay higher taxes to fund social programs designed to help those not benefiting from capitalism. So that's a really good comparison right there.
Reasonable truth, yeah. It's just, this. I think I started with this when I came on the channel, which was, look at what they've done to our language and how far they've been able to move simple things that are simple terms into complicated, convoluted, and really ridiculous, ideologies.
And they've literally rewritten things. The term vaccine, they've changed it over the last 10 years 3 times. 2015, They changed it, and especially this last year. It used to be, a V used to be keeps you from getting something, and it's been changed now, keeps you from getting drastically ill. Like it's ridiculous. Maybe. By the way, when they're gonna change it to something you take. That's it. And then, because there's that. And then there's the anti-VAXXER. One of those is not something that's against V's. That just means if you're against mandates, you're an anti-V'er, and this is the new definition.
Well, really quickly, where did you find that definition? We got a couple people asking here in the comments.
I'm gonna paste it in there. The coldwire.com. I just
Coldwire.
Googled it up. Yeah.
I think it is very interesting. I don't know. Casey, what do you think about liberal being closer to libertarian than to the left at this point, as far as an actual word?
True.
Well, it's closer to being more middle ground. I wouldn't say necessarily libertarian, but it's close.
Fair enough, yeah.
The thing is we all know that's the whole game of the system, is to modify language. They also changed the definition of racism pretty much. And they didn't put it in the dictionary, but they created their own culture of definition of racism. And that's one of the things that I believe they talk about, that George Orwell talks about in 1984, is controlling the language. And as soon as you do that, you can start controlling the people. And that's what you're slowly seeing, is they're controlling the language, and then you can start controlling the people.
Correct.
What is it's the last scene of the movie, right? They're like pouring water down us. They're 2 + 2 = 5, right? Like, like that's kind of where they've got their grip on us right now. And I think it's interesting because the same time they've got that grip, we now have the underpinnings of certain markers that we can point to say, well, something happened right here that changed the outcome here. And I think the language, unfortunately, is bastardized, but will we get back to a point where we can communicate again on level terms? And I'm seeing markers that say yes. May take a really long time and some new words come up, but that's kind of every generation does that to some degree.
So I'm going to respond to this comment. Hardcore Trumpers are not liberals. So when we're talking there's a difference between a Trumper and an alt-right. The alt-right is not. The alt-right is a very closed-minded group. What Trump did is he created what's it called? All the movements where people walked away. The Lexit. You've got people. What was the walk away movement? These people were Trump fans. They were Trump voters that were the core of liberal. They were the ultimate liberals. They were people that voted Democrat the bulk of their life and shifted over because they saw what has become of the Democratic Party. So when you say hardcore Trumpers, I think you're talking more about the alt-right and not. And that's the thing. The media has done a great job making people believe that Trump voters were alt-right. They were not. They were far from it. Very, very, very far from it. The most minorities in history voted for Donald Trump. So again, I'm sorry, the most minorities in history voted Republican for Donald Trump, to be clear, because they vote very left typically. So again, that's an incorrect statement. I think that you're just not realizing what I mean by a Trumper. Trumper is the people that all walked away from their previous party because they realize they're not liberals anymore. They're a liberal. Their party's not liberal.
Can I ask everybody here a question? Do you remember in the 2016 election, when it finally got down to Hillary and Trump, and people were sitting there saying, well, we've got to vote for the lesser of two evils?
Yeah.
Do people remember that? And yeah. I had a really interesting conversation with a family member, my uncle to be exact, and I was surprised because I was kind of on the edge with Trump. I've never really understood the personal appeal. And his thought process was in line, I think, with a lot of people's, which is, this is somebody new. It's somebody refreshing, although I don't necessarily personally like them. It's somebody we've never had, and we need to try something new.
Yeah.
So I think the sentiment that we're all touching on right now has been there for a while, maybe 20 years. It's just, this was our first taste of it, and now we're eager and desperate to get back.
Yeah, it's possibly true.
Agreed.
I dig it. All right, guys. Have a great night. As a reminder to those just joining near the end of the show, don't be alarmed if in the next day or two you see that the Be the Change channel is going to look a little something like this. Truth Will Set You Free is going to be the new name of Be the Change. Be the Change will be moving to its own page, or in combination with Streetlights Unity Movement. That is to be determined. Still got to clear some things up with cash, because that'll be the page for positivity. So Awake Not Woke store is our stuff. Somebody asked about the Unite beanie. That I have a bunch of those in stock from my previous supplier, so I'll throw those up on the website. Well, that means I'll take a picture of it, and Casey will throw it up on the website, but whatever. So we've got the Unite beanies, but ultimately we want to keep our messaging clear. this page has become a lot about politics, the Be the Change page. So it is a political, news-driven, truth-seeking channel. So that is why it'll be Truth Will Set You Free channel. And this show will be known as Weekly News and Conversation. But all the other videos will also have Truth Will Set You Free on it. Be the Change will have positivity content. Hopefully we'll get some stuff with cash and all those different things if we can combine the pages. And then Awake Not Woke will be our store. So that's how things are going to look. If you guys see a change, you'll know why. If people ask, be the one to tell them to save us some time. And last but not least, if you like the gear, go to Awake Not Woke, but don't do okay. Do Awake. Do this one. Awake. Seriously, you guys are killing me. Is any of these correct? No.
Who's typing those?
Easy is sandbagging son of a bitch. It's awakenotwokestore.com. Don't click on that one either. It's also not correct. Awake for 15% off. There we go. Yes, and actually this is a good idea. Go ahead and post. If you're watching this show, what do you guys want to talk about next week? I know the news cycle happens so fast, but we love to find what you guys really want to hear about. I hope that we touch on most of the topics you find interesting. But maybe I'll go ahead and figure it out, guys. Maybe I'll do a post next week on like Sunday and say, all right, what are the topics that you guys want to hear about this week? So that might be a good idea. Anyways, make sure you follow Mo. Mo, where do they follow you at?
You guys can follow me at Let's Talk Darling on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
Casey, you could follow into his basement and easy hides like Joe Biden. I am in a secure location, and that is tonight's Truth Will Set You Free.
Thanks, guys.